Thank you both for your presentations. Mr. Berke, you are now excused, and we will invite Mr. Goldman to take his place at the witness table.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Who seeks what purpose does the gentleman seek recognition?
I have a parliamentary inquiry.
Gentleman will state his parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pursuant to Rule 7B of the House rules, the chairman is allowed to administer an oath, not mandated to, but it has been the practice of this committee to administer oaths to witnesses. I'm wondering why we have not administered the oath in this situation.
I'm going to administer the oath to the two witnesses who are now coming up before us to make presentation. The two gentlemen who just testified were not witnesses. They were staff. They were making opening statements for the committees. We will now administer an oath to Mr. Castor and Mr. Goldman, who are now testifying in the capacity of witnesses.
But typically, we administer oaths before opening statements.
Which we will, no, for witnesses. For witnesses. Mr. Castor, we will now administer the
Mr. Chairman, parliamentary inquiry.
Gentlemen will suspend. Mr. Castor was here with Mr. Berke presenting the report of the committee. That is the opening statement for this committee. They were not witnesses before this committee. Mr. Castor now and Mr. Goldman are witnesses before this committee, and I will administer the oath.
Mr. Chairman, if they were making presentations on behalf of members, the rules should apply.
The gentleman is not recognized.
Mr. Chairman, I have a point of order.
We welcome both of our...
Mr. Chairman, I have a point of order.
Who's seeking recognition?
Right here, Mr. Chair.
Gentleman will state his point of order.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, despite our repeated requests for access to the evidence, we received less than 48 hours ago over 8,000 pages of documentation. Mr. Chairman, if this were a court of law, you'd be facing sanctions right now by the Bar Association.
The gentleman will state his point of order, not make a speech.
Mr. Chairman, how are we supposed to process over 8,000 pages of documents that came from various committees?
The gentleman, that is not a point of order. That is not a point of order.
Mr. Chairman, will you give us an
I will now proceed with the oath.
This document
The gentleman will suspend and not make a speech. Mr. Goldman, Mr. Castillo, please rise and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge, information, and belief? So help you God. Let the record show the presenters answered in the affirmative. Thank you, and please be seated. Each of you will have 45 minutes to present. To help you stay within that time, there is a timing light on your table. When the light switches from green to yellow, you have 1 minute to conclude your testimony. When the light turns red, it signals your time has expired. Mr. Goldman, you may begin.
Mr. Chairman, I have a point of order.
Mr. Chairman, you have to recognize
Gentleman will state his point of order.
Mr. Chairman, my point of order is this. In the previous point of order issued by Mr. Johnson of Louisiana, you ruled against his point of order because you said that Mr. Berke was a witness. You have just told us he was not a witness, but he was a staffer. As such, a staffer must avoid impugning motivations. And if you're
the gentleman will
Will you let him finish his point of order, please?
Made his point of order.
No, Mr. Chairman, I haven't completed yet. The rule requires that members and staff not impugn the motivations of the president. What you ruled was that he was a witness. You've just told us he wasn't a witness. My point of order is that you were out of order in your ruling.
The point of order is not sustained. I've already ruled on it. He was not a witness. These two gentlemen
I appeal the decision of the chair.
That is not a rule.
It most certainly is.
It is appealable, yes it is.
Ms. Lofgren knows it is.
The ruling is not, the point of order is not sustained.
I appeal the decision of the chair.
I move to table the
motion. The appeal of the ruling of the chair is tabled. The clerk.
Get it. Save it for next time.
All in favor of the motion table say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
No.
No.
Motion table is approved.
I seek a roll call vote.
Roll call vote. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Chairman, there are 24 ayes and 17 noes.
The ayes have it, and the motion to table is agreed to. Mr. Goldman, you may begin.